Let's go.
Michael O'Brien.
Lori G.
John Cutler.
Bob Wilbard.
Great. If everyone would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Some more than others.
Okay, we have two upcoming meeting dates. Please make a note, the next one is Wednesday, November 7th. November 6th is Election Day. And then again, Tuesday, November 20th. So Wednesday, November 7th and Tuesday, November 20th. Before I go too much further, is there anyone here for the Bonanno 3-lot 7? Okay. And you're the applicant's representative?
Yes.
Okay, we'll bring you up. We're not going to be able to open the public hearing because it wasn't advertised. So if there's anyone in the audience here for that, just know that there will be a more formal process where we notify all of the neighboring properties and we make sure the advertisements go out properly. And we'll cover that when we get to that item. There's a couple of minutes listed for approval. Do I have a motion to approve the August 7th minutes? And do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we were all here, okay. And do I have a motion to approve the August 12th minutes?
Are we all here?
Yep.
So moved.
Great, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and Pam, I'm gonna hold off on September 4th. Actually, no, I shouldn't hold off on September 4th. Mike, you were the chair for that meeting.
Oh, okay.
If you've had a chance to review them. If you haven't, we can hold until the next meeting.
I have not.
Okay, so we'll hold September 4th till the next meeting. Okay, the first item on our agenda tonight is an adjourned public hearing for Springbrook Meadows, 9-lot subdivision on Townsend Road. Is anybody here for Springbrook Meadows? Thanks, Michelle.
Short meeting.
Okay, this is an adjourned public hearing, so I think what we'll do is let's have our other public hearing first, and then I'll come back to this item on the agenda in case the applicant arrives. So the next item on our agenda is the adjourned public hearing for the Melly lot line realignment on Route 82.
So
And do I have a motion
So
to
moved.
reopen the public hearing? So moved. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good evening, Keith Stouter, Howard Cronin Engineering. We're here representing the applicant, Richard Melly. This is an adjourned public hearing. We've been before the board twice. We're gonna request an adjournment to the November 20th meeting tonight, but I just wanted to bring the board up to speed on what's going on.
Okay.
We have met with the DOT and the town's consulting engineer, Brendan Fitzgerald, at the site. We are in receipt of a comment letter from the DOT, and essentially what they're saying is the northeasternmost leg of that horseshoe driveway at the red house be eliminated.
Mhm.
Then the middle, the other side of the horseshoe entrance can remain. However, they're going to restrict that movement to in only. And then they want us to construct a DOT entrance at the where the existing gate is.
Okay.
We've scheduled another meeting with the DOT because we want to talk to them again about that for this Thursday morning. Brendan's aware of that. We're going to meet out there again and see if we can't. The owner's not too happy with what they're saying right now, so we're going to try to revise that letter a little bit, if you will.
Okay.
The second thing is, I was speaking with the town attorney, Tom Wood, a couple weeks back, regarding the issue of the easement on the property which contains the septic system for the stockyard, Daddy-O's.
Right.
I know it is a stockyard. Daddy-O's restaurant, whether it constitutes an illegal subdivision or not. In talking with the town attorney, we are in agreement that we would provide a stipulation or a note on the subdivision plat that would say no building permit would be issued on that lot until such time either that easement area is annexed to the restaurant property,
Okay.
or that easement is abandoned completely, meaning they would be hooked up to the sewer.
Okay. So are you looking at the lot then as being buildable without that land in the event that it's going
The
to be?
remainder of the lot is buildable without that land, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes.
Let's just make sure somewhere we say that too, in case that's where what you end up doing with it.
Right, yeah. The remainder is 18 acres, and we got high and dry land. We're going to prove out a septic and a house over there, so we're not concerned about that.
Okay.
But we would agree not, as a note on the plat, no building permit would be issued for lot 1 until such time that easement's gone, or it's annexed to this Daddy-O's.
And what's your intended access to that lot?
The intended access to that lot is the existing, driveway that's there now.
Okay,
There's an existing gravel dirt drive that comes off of Turner Street
okay.
and enters that lot. That is to remain as is. That brings me to my next point with the third point of this project is the DEC. Mike Nowicki finally got a meeting with them, and it happened this afternoon, or this morning actually, up at the DEC office. And what has come out of that, from what I understand from Mr. Nowicki, is he met with Ashley Wilson and Lisa, and I believe Lisa's been in contact with Michelle.
I've spoken with her. I didn't speak with her today, but I did have spoken with her in the past.
As it stands now, we're not going to require an Article 24 permit for the existing driveway as long as we don't change the existing driveway in that buffer area. We're going to leave it as is, propose it to leave it as is. So we would not require an Article 24 permit for that section there. And we're probably not going to require an Article 11 permit for the Blandings Turtle. Mike Nowicki's got a reply to their comments that they had today. I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know everything, but from what I understand, he's got to provide a little bit more detail on the implementation of the mitigation that's being proposed, which essentially is some kind of temporary barrier for the new lot on 82, so to prevent turtles from coming into the disturbed areas, and then somewhere around the 100-foot boundary line on the lot 1. And we're going to have to provide some kind of deed restriction for these lots for no future disturbance for the turtles. That's going to be required. I think that's a standard thing right now, if I'm not mistaken.
They often will put a restriction. I think the restriction that Mike Nowicki had in his habitat assessment was that they weren't going to mow the lawn.
Yeah, there's a no-mow zone already as part of the mitigation. That's going to continue to be there, but they just want a little bit more detail than that. They wanted us to show on the plan where exactly we're going to put the barrier.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. And you said you have, the DOT meeting is on Thursday. When is the DEC meeting?
Well, that was today.
You had the DEC, I'm sorry.
We had the meeting
Okay.
today. Well, Mike did. I wasn't there.
Okay.
So we don't think the plan's going to change from what you see here, other than the elimination of that curb cut there on the easternmost part. And then the DEC's, the plan's not going to change. The only thing that we're going to add to it is the barrier and some notation about a deed restriction. So essentially, this plan is going to be the plan that's approved. We intended on adjourning to November 20th just to button up the things with the DOT and the DEC. It's probably the prudent thing to do. I mean, I would think there's enough here and what we're talking about to close it tonight, but that's your call. I mean,
Well, we
nothing
definitely
really.
need to hear back from the DEC, and if you want to change the entrances, then if we close it,
Right.
it's just better if you leave it open.
Right.
Or you'd have to re-advertise.
I don't want to re-advertise. You
I'm
got
with you.
got enough dates on the signs now.
Okay.
I got to put duct tape on it now. Right over it.
Brandon, anything with the traffic as far as the changes the applicant is recommending or is going back to the DOT for, any concerns or anything we should be talking about?
I mean, I think the DOT is pretty adamant about, having some change. I mean, I do think it'd be somewhat open to maybe having a discussion.
Well, we're going to give it a shot.
And, but, I think we just have to have that meeting and see where that goes.
Okay. Any concerns with it as it's currently proposed from the DOT?
My only concern with the way it's currently proposed is that they're recommending putting a sign in to restrict the exit, which is, not an extremely enforceable thing.
Okay.
But, it sort of protects them from a liability standpoint.
Okay.
If they recommend that it goes in, and if someone doesn't abide by it, then...
It's kind of rare for a private or residential private property.
Yeah.
to have signage to restrict movement, so...
And
there's-
it's a right or a left turn in, right? So eastbound and westbound?
I think you can enter it, but you can't exit it.
Okay, so it's not like you can curve the driveway, so you wouldn't be easily able to
Like right in,
exit it.
right out or something?
Yeah.
Basically, just to understand the philosophy is that the driveway is right opposite the signal, but it's not under the control of the signal.
Right.
There's no signal head for it. So, the property owner's lived there for a long time. He understands how to use his driveway. But,
Right.
unfortunately, that's not the only person that is potentially going to use the driveway. There's the UPS guy, someone who might want to do a U-turn, the oil delivery truck. So, there's other things that they have to account for. I think Mr. Melly certainly knows how to use his driveway too. He's learned to use it in a safe manner for himself. But, that's not everything that DOT is considering. So.
Okay.
And I know we talked, one potential mitigation would be to actually put a signal head in the driveway, but
I don't know if we're going to go down that road.
that's not, not an economical thing.
Right.
It would be if we went commercial on the property, but it's a residential use, and it doesn't make any sense money-wise to do that.
Okay. Okay. Michelle, how about the DEC stuff or anything else?
Well, it sounds like, they're on the right track. They've met with Lisa, so I think as soon as they get the sign off, it sounds like they're going to give them, it says the Article 24 is the wetland permit, so they're not going to have a wetland permit, which makes it easier for them. It's already a disturbed area anyway. And then the Blandings turtle, it sounds like they may have a couple of conditions, and hopefully they won't be conditions that are too onerous or change the layout of the subdivision.
Well, it's not going to change the layout, we're just going to have to add like a barrier. We don't know what material yet we're going to have to do, whether it's going to be a 2-foot height chicken wire fence, or if it's going to have to be some kind of curbing.
Is that only during construction, or do you think it's going to be a?
I'm not 100% sure on that either. Forgive me on that. That's Mike's department, but I don't.
Okay.
I think we're looking at the temporary disturbance.
The no-mow area would be a
The
permanent.
no-mow area would be permanent, and the
Okay.
deed restriction would be permanent.
Okay.
Keith, would you be able to put a driveway in the other lot with the septic there?
Lot 2
Yeah,
up here.
no, I'm sorry, lot 1. I know the road goes over, but it doesn't actually go over where the septic is, right? And maybe I misunderstood when you pointed with where you would put the house. Where would you put the house?
Beyond the existing septic area, outside of that easement
So
area.
would you be able to get the driveway over the existing septic area?
Well, no, it wouldn't go over. It would be along the side of the existing septic.
Okay.
It wouldn't be
Is there room? That's what I
Oh,
was
yeah,
wondering.
there's plenty of room out there. Plenty of room.
Okay.
Anything else, Michelle?
I don't know.
Joe, how about from Morris, anything?
I think our comments were fairly minor. The one thing that I recall was there was a couple of areas on the table summaries that didn't quite match, but it looked like you had more area in the upper right corner.
Yeah, it's just a little couple number crunching
Yeah.
we gotta
Yeah.
revise.
But all in all, even with the worst case, using the largest areas, it seemed like there was plenty of room to support the number of lots in the buildable area. And then we also got by the issue as far as the area of disturbance not being over an acre. So there wouldn't be a SWIP being triggered.
Okay. With regard to the note that's going to go on the plan about the septic area, is that something that you would review the text of the note? Should Tom review the text of the note? Because I'd like it, if
Yeah,
you're coming
we
back
could-
in November, I want to make sure you run it by whoever needs to look at it and say, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
We could probably both review it, just to
Okay.
make sure different
Okay.
angles are covered.
Okay. Is there an expectation that that septic parcel is going to change soon, or is there your expectation that you won't be pulling a
Well,
building permit?
We believe the sewer right now is down in front of McCool's. I don't know if that's going to be extended anytime soon, but the expectation is that the septic's going to be there for next number of years.
Okay, but eventually probably not needed because it'll have
Right.
municipal services. Okay, okay. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, is there anyone here from the public to speak for or against the Melly lot line realignment on Route 82? Okay. So Keith, you think by November 20th you'll have your DEC letter and then any revisions to entrances, septic, the note for the plan for the septic parcel? nailed down?
I believe so. Do I have to do a resubmission on this at any, when would be the deadline to resubmit, if I have to resubmit, or is it stuff I can report to the board at the next meeting and we can close the hearing, or?
Usually 15 days ahead, so we have time to review it, although these changes look fairly minor. I guess how long does it take if they change the traffic, the driveways, to be able to have time to review it?
Oh, I think we can do that in a quick fashion. I mean, I think, if they're going to modify something, Mr. Ginevro's,
Well,
Because you're not actually kicking the lot lines or anything, it just may be the way you show the entrance. Is that correct, or are you trying to?
well, I don't know, I gotta see what hopefully we resolve something a little different for Thursday when we meet with them. I guess the question is, as part of the approval, are we going to be required to install these curb cuts as part of prior to filing of the plat? How is this going to work?
I'm not 100% familiar.
Well, as far as the curb cut on 82,
Well, if you get the new lot, which typically you wouldn't install this.
because you need a
So
DOT,
you got a building permit.
and you need a DOT permit.
Right, you can't get a building permit without the DOT permit, I presume.
But are you going to get something in writing from DOT that says they will in fact issue that permit at a later date? Or are they going to tell you, no, the only way to ensure that is to get the permit now?
Oh, that's my question.
But I can't speak for DOT.
I don't think they care either way. I want to know what
In my mind, we want to know that DOT is definitely going to issue that curb cut and literally have that permit in hand, I would think, before we approve this.
The one for lot 2 we're talking about.
Well, no. I would say that. I mean, you're talking about the existing cuts here, right?
No, I'm starting with the new lot.
This one here?
Let's start with that one. We work our way through.
Typically, you wouldn't,
Typically.
well, you wouldn't get a permit prior to filing the plat
No, but if DOT wants some kind of improvement or rearrangement done down here,
down here.
that they don't hold that up at a later point or that other permit until that's done. I mean, to me, either you got to have something in writing from DOT giving you the whole picture. We will issue this permit provided this is done and when it has to be done, or have the permit in hand and now and just resolve it now.
I almost think it has to be 2 permits.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 permit, because that's going to be sold to a separate entity. And then now we have this other one, or existing
But aren't those
lots.
permits transferable?
Whether he could get it now and transfer it to the prospective owner of.
I mean, how do
that lot.
we just need to be 100% positive that they're going to issue that.
But even
that
if
permit.
it was transferable, it would still need to be 2
Well,
permits.
just-
No, I'm not saying
I
that,
would
yeah.
just say no building permit unless the DOT permit's issued for that lot 2.
Yeah, but you can't create a lot that's not buildable based on whether or not DOT is going to grant a
Oh,
permit
you
in
want,
the
we can get a
future.
letter from DOT saying
But
that
if
that
you have a
site,
letter
that,
saying
that,
Oh, yeah.
that
Yeah.
entrance
That's what I'm saying, either a
is-
letter or the actual permit, yeah.
They didn't seem to have an issue with that, but we can get Rock to.
Yeah,
update.
commit to it. All I'm looking for is a
Okay.
commitment under what circumstances. So I think you got to have DOT, you know.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be a highway work permit, right? So they're gonna have two.
Keith, from my perspective, as far as I'm concerned, as long as we know that DOT will issue the permits, I don't think it has to be work done prior to the signing of the plat.
Well, that's, yeah, it's an important part of what we're doing here, so I'd appreciate that, I appreciate that. I don't, typically you get the plats approved subject to health department, subject to a bunch of things.
Oh, it can certainly be, yeah.
So as long as it's clear from the DOT what's expected from the permit.
That's why I want to go back
If
out
they
and
issue,
revisit.
if
and
they
then the
issue a
plan
letter that
reflects it.
says this will happen as long as these other things happen, I
Right.
think that's, then we can condition to say that's,
Yep.
those are the conditions you have to meet to be able to pull a building permit.
Right. Fair enough.
Well, let me just throw this wrinkle then. What if one of the conditions for the new lot is something has to be done at the existing where Rich lives now? And
Well,
he
let's,
sells that lot and then doesn't want to cooperate with that condition.
well, let's see what the DOT comes back with,
But
because
it's
if they
something to
do that, then
consider.
there may be one condition where we say you have to meet this condition before we'll sign the plat, but not require the permit for the entrance or something
I
like
would
If it's a
think-
condition onto that lot itself, I think that's fine. But if it's affected by another lot, you know,
Well, let's see what comes back. It's a fair point.
Okay. Very good.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Okay. So the 3 things, you're going to get your DOT letter and make any revisions to the plan as far as the entrances go. Make sure you consult with Morris and Tom on the, and town attorney on the septic parcel and the language for the note that'll go in, and the DEC, hopefully Michelle will issue a letter before November 20th.
Yep. They're pretty good about doing that. Did she indicate, she probably didn't indicate what?
I didn't talk to her. I gotta talk to Mike.
I said Michelle because she can usually work magic. So.
I'll call her.
As long as I get the letter by the 20th, we're okay on the DEC.
I'll call her.
I just, but if something unusual is going to happen as far as the turtles or something like that, I want to, we want to make sure that your plan's going to reflect that.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna, yeah.
All right. Okay. Anything else you're expecting to change or anything like that?
Those are the 3 points, those are the 3 main issues.
Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn the Melly lot line realignment on Route 82 to November 20th? And I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, has anyone arrived for Springbrook Meadows? Okay. I'll make one last call for it at the end of the meeting, and then we'll take an appropriate action at that point.
Laurie, I met John Metzger today. He came to my office for another project, and I thought he was coming. But he basically said he was planning on asking for it to be extended because he wasn't, they're still waiting on specifics from the DEC about the endangered species and other wetland issues.
Okay,
So,
okay. But it's a public hearing, so we need folks here for that. But we'll see. We'll wait till the end of the meeting in case somebody's running late or got caught in traffic or something. So with regard to Bonanno, I am gonna move the whole thing to the end, Pam, just in case we do get somebody here. So the next item on our agenda is a discussion for the Taconic Mobile Home Park on Hosner Mountain Road.
Isn't that gentleman here?
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm sorry. What did I do? I skipped. I said Springbrook. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I got my notes mixed up here. Pardon me. Come on up for Bonanno. We can't open your public hearing. I'm sorry. I'm misreading my notes. We can't open your public hearing, but we can declare lead agency, and we need to reschedule you for public hearing. And we need to make sure we do that with enough time for you to advertise. So that's at least 25 days.
Does November 20th work? Well, November 20th works for me, if it works for you guys.
We just really need to make sure that you're going to get your letters out.
I understand. I'll make sure that I'm on top of it. I'm not exactly sure what happened with my secretary with it.
Because wasn't, on the 2nd, we had the same issue.
Yeah.
Yes, and then 2 days after she was supposed to send the stuff out, she realized that it was supposed to be sent out. And that it was, by then it was 2 days late, so.
Okay. Well, first, can I have a motion to declare lead agency for Bonanno 3-lot subdivision on Mountaintop Road?
So moved. Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And Michelle, I saw there was one comment letter that came back, so we'll address that when we do get into public hearing. If we do November 20th, that means your letters have to be out by October 25th. So that gives you just about a week, and then they really need to be in the mail. Are they ready to go? I mean, did you have letters ready to go, or are they?
I believe that they're all prepared.
And you know how they need to be sent, and you know you need to advertise as well, and
Yes.
the newspaper. Okay.
And actually, I'll call Pam in the next couple days and speak to her and make sure that just check on what's going on.
I highly recommend that. It's important too, because we publish these agendas on the internet, so even if somebody didn't necessarily get a letter if they were here tonight, it would be a real concern that we have folks that are here and then we're not able to listen.
Okay.
Okay. So do I have a motion to move the Bonanno public hearing, initial public hearing, to the November 20th meeting?
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry about the inconvenience.
Okay.
Yes, we have no
Bananas.
Okay, how about now? Can we hear the Taconic Mobile Home Park? I'm sorry.
Oh, you again?
The question is, do you really want to hear about this?
Yes, we.
Yes,
love
actually,
to.
yes, we do.
wanna hear about it.
So we gave you in, was it July, a 6-month extension, but asked you to come back to just give us an update to
Sure.
make sure that you're on track to have this done before that expires. How do you feel?
We, between the extension and now, we've been working with the health department, putting together, we ended up revising the plan, the configuration of the piping and the pumping system within the building.
Okay.
So we had to redesign the entire inside of the building, as well as look for some testing that they were asking for.
So this is a result of comments then from the Board of Health, or
Right,
because you had it
so
been?
what we've done is, we've been working through that behind the scenes, and we made a formal submission back to them on Monday, and I believe we faxed over a copy of the submission letter to your board.
Okay.
And as you can see, we've addressed each of the comments, so we're hoping that, you know, we're going to be in a position very soon that they'll be able to approve it.
Okay.
So we are working with the health department. We made a submission, and now we're going to wait and hear back from them. But we think we're getting close to the end here with them.
Okay. Do you think you're going to hear back prior to this expiring again?
I would expect to, yes. Probably within about a month.
Okay. And then is there anything else that you need to do with the plan, or will it be ready to sign at that point?
At that point, we resolved all the conditions that were put forth in the resolution, so, you know, this would be the final step.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments from board members?
This is.
Okay. Okay.
All right?
All right. Joe, anything from your perspective, or Michelle?
Maybe Bill knows, as far as our last comment letter was like from July, a couple of years ago. Has that been addressed, or has been kind of in waiting until all health department changes?
I know we have addressed it. I thought it was actually submitted back to you. Maybe it hasn't. I will double check that tomorrow, and if so, I will submit it.
Okay.
I know as part of addressing the health department comments over the last 6 months, you know, we did take care of the conditions. So I know it's done.
Okay. Please come back on an agenda if you find out that there's going to be a delay or anything like that before you hit the expiration. But hopefully, in the meantime, we'll get the map and you'll be done. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is a sketch plan for review for Coley Kaplan lot line realignment. Coley Kaplan.
The client's name is Colley and Kaplan, yes. My name is Sal Triano. I'm from Crossline Engineering. I'm representing both Mr. Colley and Mr. and Mrs. Kaplan. Let me put it on.
That's right, highlighting this.
I probably have one.
Maybe.
Okay, that'll look good.
Okay. I admit I wasn't 100% certain exactly what lines you were moving and why. So if you can just walk us through what the intent is and the reason for the changes, that would be great.
Certainly. The current parcels that we're adjusting the lot lines on include several that run across and next to Route 52, close to the intersection of Cross Road. They have existing residents on them, fairly steep in topography for the lower portions, and then they rise up fairly quickly. The remainder of these parcels are non-buildable and non-accessible for any of these parcels. The current or adjoining owners, Mr. Colley, who owns actually quite a few parcels in that vicinity, is looking to actually enlarge a current 23-acre parcel and get it up to about 30 acres. In order to do that, what he's looking to do is realign some of his parcels that he currently owns, and also has worked out an agreement with Mr. and Mrs. Kaplan to adjust one of their property lines. So what that does is it shifts their property line from up on this end down to this limit. He's swapping a piece of property to extend and give the Kaplans a bit more access because they have a fairly tight lot currently, and then adjusting some of the other lots that he has, again, sliding that property line further down.
Okay, so was down towards the road, that odd kick on the property line is, I mean, normally we like to see things squared off and not kind of rounded out like that. Is there a reason why it wasn't done that way? Is it just because the driveways are there? I'm not sure why it's kind of wavy like that.
On which one is that?
I'm looking at, it looks like it's the lot line between C2 and the lands of Kaplan. It's a lettered line that kind of curves and then dips down and cuts back.
This line down over here. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is an existing line, very odd parcel. It has an existing residence that was added on to a few years ago. And then they adjusted their lot lines so they could put an additional residence right next door. So those are two existing residences, and that's how those property lines currently exist.
Also, Lori.
Okay, so show me again where you're kicking the line. You said you were giving Kaplan a different, and I'm sorry, I thought you pointed at that squiggly line.
Let me realign it so it's a little bit easier.
Sure. Yeah, we can just turn it. This isn't public hearing, so we can actually bring this up towards the board. That's fine.
And Lori, I just want to make the board aware that these parcels are all B1 up front.
Okay.
I mean, it's pre-existing non-conforming, but they're in a B1 district technically. The back.
Does the B1 district go all the way to the back, or is I thought the
No,
lot?
it goes. You'll see it on. There's a line that shows where the B1 and the R3 starts.
Okay.
The break, as what Michelle was talking about, was the limits between your B1 zone and your R3 zone is this dashed line that runs more or less for this quadrant of the properties.
Okay.
This line that you mentioned before is kind of irregular, kind of chopped up. That's existing, and that was done primarily to create access around an existing residence. I live actually fairly close to here, so I watched a lot of these things go up and be added onto over time. This was a relatively new residence that was added in this area, and they adjusted those lines to actually make that parcel work. So the adjustment that we're looking to actually do is take the property lines and the property features from up in this area here, shift this down, take an existing lot line that's here and push it here. So instead of having this parcel have a very narrow, long orientation, taking that, shifting a piece of that up onto this end and pulling this back down so it gives them the 3-acre parcel here, takes this and adds it onto this, so that makes that this currently 23-acre parcel up to 31.
And why do they want 31 acres?
The owner, Dean, kind of likes his large parcels. He has one that he currently has here. He'd like to create this one a bit more, and his long-term goal, again, is, as you folks sort of have seen, is to actually construct a residence up that end. Whether or not that comes to the board, that's something for future discussions. But the first step in his planning process is to adjust the property lines.
But he's consolidating it with the existing lot. He's not forming a new lot.
Correct.
So for him to be able to do any additional development, he's going to have to come back. And he has no intention of doing that right now, or he does intend to do that?
His intention is to continue on with, once we get the lot lines adjusted, and to move forward with some of his planning for this proposed house.
So as far as what we should be looking at for segmentation right now, Michelle, I'm thinking we need to show what he's intending to do with that parcel ultimately.
Right, and they do show the proposed house on here, but that in some way makes you have to look at it not only as a lot line, but also as a subdivision.
But also as a subdivision,
Correct.
exactly. With regard to the B1, the homes in the B1, it's not exacerbating because we're not taking any of the B1 district away, but we are shrinking the lot sizes where those sit, and they're non-conforming. Is there?
Well, there's just non-conforming for use, because technically they're single-family residences occupied by residential uses in a commercial district.
Right.
I think one of the biggest issues that you have, and forgive me if I have this wrong, but there's an existing house that overlaps a lot line, and there's two separate owners of those two
Correct.
separate lots. So in my opinion, if we're moving lot lines around, we ought to fix that nonconformity.
I would agree. I believe that's very prudent.
And is that proposed? Because I
So
could,
it's
That was not
proposed as an
proposed.
easement,
Okay.
but you can actually just move the lot line?
We can adjust the lot line to make that happen, certainly.
And there must have been a prior lot line realignment. This is a little weird.
No, there really hasn't been.
Well, you said that wiggly line was,
This one may have been a long time ago. I don't exactly know how that one came.
I'm sorry, I thought you
Is
said
there
it
a
was
stream?
recent.
Pardon?
Is there a stream?
No,
or
no,
something?
this is just to get around an existing
No,
house. That's the nearest I can
Because they
think
built
of.
it down.
They may have subdivided this relatively recently, in the last 20 years.
Okay.
are you talking about the driveway that's just sitting there with nothing on it? What's up with that?
The driveway that has nothing on it.
There's no house to it?
There is an existing house, a survey, there's a well that's there, there is a house.
Okay, there is a house on that.
Yes.
And how close is that one to the existing house? Do we know?
It's close to the property line, it's just like all those houses, they're existing non-conforming. They do not meet any of the setback requirements. And that's why there's really no adjustment that's really possible on.
I mean, the
those
interesting
little
thing is
parcels.
because it's B1, and they're residential properties, the setbacks are commercial setbacks. I mean, this is quite interesting,
Which the
actually.
side lot is.
No, it is, it is.
This is very, very different type, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I looked at this for quite a while and could not, I really had trouble wrapping my brain around what was going on here.
Well, and it looks like for one of the lots where you're moving the line, you have pavement from a gravel drive that's over onto lands of a neighbor who's not part of this specification, is that correct? This is up at, between Turner and parcel A?
Over in this.
Right there, yeah, right there, yeah.
It's not existing.
That's the way it looks, yes, exactly. It's all existing.
Easement going to the acreage.
Well, it's gonna have to, but now he's moving these lot lines around a little bit, we're gonna have
Any
to
of these,
do.
and any of the lots, as they're being adjusted, are they, they're not further subdividable, is that correct?
They are not.
Based on
not-
existing acreage?
No, not
So
at all.
aside from what's going to the existing parcel in the back, none of these would be further subdivided up towards Route 52?
That's correct. There would be a 3-acre parcel split.
Can you just talk about the easement for a second?
Okay, there's an existing power line or underground power that runs along that rather odd-shaped easement to get up into this end. And it actually divides itself up from there for future works.
So-
That exist currently.
So it runs the entire length of what's shown here as the easement?
Yes.
Okay, and then it just ends there, or what happens where?
It does, it ends actually further up. The survey didn't pick up the rest of it. It's up into this area, let's see, up into this area right about there.
And what is it servicing at this point?
Currently nothing.
Nothing.
But it's existing or it's
It's
proposed?
existing.
Because
No.
this says proposed, as I read it, proposed.
It's a proposed easement. The utilities are currently in.
Okay, so there's
does the
no
utility
existing
run-
easement there.
Does it run under the gravel drive?
It's
or does it?
It's underground currently, yes.
But it runs under that gravel drive?
Mhm.
And that's okay?
Yes. Yeah, it's all in conduits and everything else, but it exists.
But there's no easement currently for
There is
it?
no current easement for it.
But that also means it can't be paved, right? Or you'd have to pull up the pavement if you ever needed to get to it?
You'd actually have to remove pavement to get to it, but that's perfectly fine. Conduits are run under pavements all the time. As long as
Well,
the
right now
property
it says
bed-
it's a gravel drive. This is not, it's a paved drive?
No, it's all up into over in here. This is
Yeah.
a gravel drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But
that's not a
it's,
central lot.
So what's under pavement right now?
if it was under pavement.
Oh, if you paved it,
It couldn't be paved over. There's absolutely no problem with
So the
paving.
easement doesn't prohibit that or anything?
No, it's again, just an easement is maintained for access to it. In case there is a problem, it needs to be serviced.
Did the Coleys put that electrical in themselves, or the utility in themselves, do you know, or is it, I mean, how long has that been there?
I don't know all the particulars.
And then just so the board also sees, the driveway, the gravel driveway extends onto the Turer, is that how you pronounce the last
And we
name?
mentioned that just before.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Yeah. We just looked at that.
Sorry, we were talking about the easement.
If we don't know how long the underground's been there, do we know that it meets current code?
I would think that it does, and considering things are in conduit,
Okay.
that's something we could find out. Not a
Okay,
problem.
I'm sorry.
please,
But nothing is using that power.
no.
So it just kind of, it's a lead to nowhere and it just sits there.
It exists currently, right.
Will they need to use that to power this proposed house?
That would make the most sense, rather than bring power up any other direction.
I'm not sure what the other road looks like, cross street, I guess.
And right now, he's only thinking of building one house, not
Correct.
multiple houses?
One.
And now this guy.
One, and actually, the rest of the
Well, these
property
guys
would
are
be
the same
difficult.
property owner.
Although there
What's
there
that?
could be
Same
portions
person
of
owns
it.
this.
This and this,
Yeah.
and
Long
then
cross
an
road,
easement.
if you were to actually.
That's why there's
There's
utilities and no
probably
easement.
multiple houses in on that, but the rest of it is fairly steep again, somewhat rocky, difficult to access.
But it's not his intention to do that, or he might do that.
And my understanding, he wants to make this thing one house, and that's it.
Existing gravel
That's his
access
overall goal.
that runs up across logging, crossroad. Comes all the way from over here.
Michelle, as far as the nonconformity, is this permissible with a nonconformity?
Currently with the existing
use.
house on the,
With houses in the B1, where we're taking away some of the R3 land?
I mean, I would certainly, in my opinion, I'd have to think this through and maybe talk to Tom about it, but in my opinion, I don't think you could allow a lot line realignment of a existing parcel without correcting, first of all, the house. That,
No,
I think,
understood. I mean,
absolutely has to be
assume
done.
we're going to correct all of the,
But you're asking about just because they're non-conforming houses, can we
Right.
continue to,
can we shrink the lot size if we're not taking away from the B1 zone land?
Yeah, I mean, you're not really increasing the non-conformity.
That's,
Yeah, I don't think you're really increasing, I mean, technically you're not.
And the intent would actually be to correct part of the deficiencies as part of it as well.
What you are doing, however, is, making it more, in a way, you're
More dense.
more, well, and more residential. You're sort of, you're increasing the residential use of the area.
We're also making it more restrictive as well.
What do you mean you're making it more restrictive? What does that mean?
We're making it so that realistically, these houses or these property owners can't do something further up that particular hill. So we're limiting their use of the property almost to the areas that are currently in use.
Because you're trading back property for width.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that the new owner wouldn't be able to do something there if he chose. I guess I'm,
Well, he wouldn't own it.
If you see the topography,
yeah, there's going to be,
you'd know what.
this is
Yeah,
only
the new-
one
the new owner.
parcel. So where today it's narrow strips of land, it would be difficult to
Correct.
develop. You're combining.
The
them.
new owner could do what they chose back there, correct?
And whereabouts would the new house be located?
The intent is, it's actually shown, it's up in this area here.
I'm sorry, I thought you were pointing to the other side.
Can you actually get a driveway in there with those land contours that meet?
Says there's an existing
There's-
There may be.
There's a current gravel and wood road that exists throughout the property. And the approach, at least again from the current owner's possession, is to provide an easement to this particular parcel, so you can create something that would zigzag over the hillside here, provide an easement through here to get to this particular parcel,
So he'd provide an easement over his property to get to the parcel
to get to his property.
that he wants to build.
Correct.
That's weird.
It's a little odd, yes, but that.
Yes, it's a little
That's,
odd.
that's okay. I mean, again, it's same owner.
2A right now currently has nothing on it.
Which one's 2A, Michelle?
It's on the, you have to really flip to the next page, the next.
2A has nothing.
Combined with lot B.
This parcel here, which, which is this parcel here. That's 2A. This is what we want to take from 23 acres and increase it to 31.
Is there I'd like, even if it's tiny, I'd like to see all of this on one map.
Okay.
It's just difficult. It's difficult to visualize it without having it all in one.
Is, okay, so 2A is ultimately ending up how much acreage?
31.
Where's that?
D plus 2A is 30, almost 32.
And then what's this one? What's this one?
That's
This,
another
yeah,
parcel.
which one is
That's
this?
why if it was all on one map, I think it would be easier to see.
That's, okay, that's an existing house on this
Yeah,
property.
this is house that exists here.
Okay.
So this is the one that was 23.
And there's nothing going on in this?
This is, again, it's a
Just a
dirt
drive.
gravel drive that comes over.
But there's no changes to the acreage of this lot?
No, no changes to that. The intent is actually to take this and do this to it. Make it so that this has a bit more. Make that more looking for.
Okay.
You're saying the slope on the existing gravel drive, for which he'll grant an easement, is less than 14 degrees?
I believe so. I haven't seen
Okay.
topography across the board on
Because
that.
it looks kind of steep.
Yeah, you're gonna wanna check that because the driveway is gonna have to meet the code. You're also gonna have to be able to, not knowing whether it's kind of on cliffs on either side, you're gonna be able to have pull-offs every 600? Every 600 feet.
Run.
So you want to make sure that you maintain the lots that have the B1. You need to maintain the acreage in the B1 for each one, so you don't increase the nonconformity, but at the same time, you're gonna have to kick those lot lines around a little bit.
Right.
Once they
Keep
do
them
the
as
lot
square
lines,
as you
this
can,
is
if you
because
would,
of
none
this
of
lot.
the
So just
round ones, we
here's
prefer if you can
footage.
square them off.
But I mean, that's a
Even
separate.
as in more of a triangular shape,
there.
just rather than curved lines, that would be better.
Well, this lot line wouldn't adjust at all.
Understood, but you've got you've got the house that's encroaching, on one of the lots, and we need to know what you're gonna do with that gravel drive that's encroaching on a neighboring parcel.
No, I have that. We'll definitely address that. For this little encroachment of this particular house, I would recommend that we
Just do a little triangle.
Draw a good triangle here, and then actually do a reciprocal triangle up at this end. So we would then maintain the B1 area.
Michelle, was there anything else, or Joe, anything else you saw on the plan that needs to be addressed before we would?
No, I'm just calculating in my head. Is
No,
there,
because this one's getting larger.
they're making one of the lots larger, but you're not,
Are
I'm
you
just trying to
talking
figure out
about
if
the
they're
B1?
actually creating a new lot, but you aren't really, you're just swapping all the lines out.
Right.
But that's why, if we could see this all on one
Right.
map, it would be
It's
easier to
very
understand
difficult to
that.
conceptualize what it's all in my
Yeah.
All
head.
right, so.
It would also, I know you gave us, I think on the front map, there's a table of old and new acreage.
Correct. Here it gives you the full balance of existing and proposed.
This doesn't include lot 2A, wait a minute, I see, it's up here. I'm sorry, it is up here. Okay, I just didn't understand it because it was, all right. Yeah, try to fit it all, even if it's small, try to fit it all on one map for us, even if you still do these larger maps for the detail, just so that we can see the whole concept.
Lot 2, but this isn't really labeled, so.
Okay. Questions or comments from board members?
For clarity, would you like to actually see an existing one that has the lot lines existing and then the proposed?
That would be
So you can
great.
see them side by side?
That would be fine, and you can take off some of the topo lines and things like that for that version of the map, because that lets us get a feel more for acreage
see
and
property
how the
lines.
parcels are moving.
Okay.
Leave the houses on those so we can get a feel for the encroachments and make sure that they're, if
And the
you will.
driveways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if the house where the one lot where the house isn't shown, if we could just
Right.
conceptually show where that is. Great.
I think this is probably the most complex lot line realignment we've seen.
This is the reason why I came in and actually went into your office, is just to see what direction we should really go, and they recommended the sketch plan review.
And now,
To open the discussions.
and I think you said it when we started, all of these lots but one are owned by the same person or entity? Is that-
Correct.
Okay, so I think on the application, there was only one signer. Do we have both applicants signing? Both landowners have signed the application? Is that correct?
I don't believe so, no, just the one owner.
Don't-
But they have an agreement between the two of them for everything.
Okay, do we either have the copy of the agreement, or Pam, don't we need them both to sign the application?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think you just need to amend your application so you have both signatures, if you will.
Okay.
Anything, Joe, that you can think of? I know.
Most of our comments were thinking towards the subdivision and the placement of a house and looking at slopes and drainage and different things, but.
That's future.
Yeah, right.
But because you're saying it's going to kind of be a fast follower, we want to make sure, we have to quantify that for this review.
Certainly, well understood.
Okay. Any other questions for us?
What would the next step that you'd like to see, aside from getting this package reassembled? How would you like to proceed with the next meeting? Would you like me to actually sit down with anybody in the department prior to go over things?
Not unless you have specific questions. As long as you provide the map as we're talking about, make some of these adjustments as we're talking, you would come back in, and instead of being a sketch plan review, we'd have you on for discussion. You'd have a formal application.
Okay. And with that, would there be formal notifications?
Not for the discussion. You would have a notification to tell you which agenda you would be on, but not till we would schedule for public hearing would there be notifications that go out. Pam, do we have application fees and all of that already submitted, or do we need that as well?
This is the driveway.
But this was just for the sketch plan.
Right, so just there's whatever the appropriate fees are for the formal application.
There's a house
We'll be
here,
back in just to talk.
and the house is going.
All right, very good.
Here's something.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Much appreciated.
Yeah, but what are they combining? They can't have two houses on one.
Hi. I'm going to go back to the first item on our agenda, Sprainbrook Meadows on Townsend
They're
Road.
adding whatever they take out of these lots, they're putting on.
I apologize.
Not to
My
this
client was
They're not
going
against that.
This one.
Okay, if you
Okay,
want
just hold on one
All right, so
second.
fine, they got 23 acres. You
I'm
can
sorry,
build a
hold on
house
one
on
second.
23 acres.
Guys, is there something else? Scott, is there something else we need to discuss for this one, or are we okay to go back to Sprainbrook?
Well, the question is,
Forgive us, I'm sorry.
We're just trying to, I was just trying to figure out if the lot was buildable without any of these lot line reliance, because that's where the segmentation issue comes in. If it's currently an existing building lot and they're just moving lot line, then it's already an
It's just hard to
established
tell
lot.
without having the consolidated map.
Right, but I think what we're sort of gleaming from this is that it's not a buildable lot currently, is that correct?
is lot 2 buildable?
I think you could make that the case for that to be buildable.
I mean, you got 23 acres, unless it's all a swamp.
So,
No, it's all hill. So
It's steep.
You know,
It's
but
slopes.
there's a lot of plateau areas as well. So, sorry for continuing.
No, that's all right. Go right ahead.
So developing the access onto the existing parcel can be done. The simplest way, if you walk around to the side here. The simplest mode would be to actually start either on this side here, or even take this existing piece that's on this and put it over in here, cut across this way where the slopes are fairly shallow. Then you end up getting it to an actual break in the ridge or onto a plateau and get yourself up in here. So it'd be a switchback, a lot of boulder work. There's quite a bit of trees and forests and stuff like that.
But doable.
But doable.
Okay.
But he just wants to move his location from down there up to a higher point, so.
And he also doesn't want to disturb the forest. He's,
And it would save all that work if he can just,
correct.
so he's gonna, what, grant himself an easement over?
Over that line. Release that also. And it's all, from his perspective, it's all his property, doesn't care. If anyone ever buys it in the future, well, then they'll have to deal with the easements that he creates for himself. You know, so, but that's his intent, is not to sell. He would much rather purchase more of the property than that. He likes his privacy.
So we just have to look at this lengthy access through an easement to this property.
Right.
That's the,
I think so, we just need to talk to Tom about that issue. And then-
Well, if, then we'll have you follow up, Michelle or Scott, if you guys can just follow up if there's a determination about how the application should be submitted, let's follow up with.
Right, and then if we have to, I'll try to get it done in the next few days, and if we have to, maybe we'd have a meeting with just you before we came in front of the planning board to get it all, so that you know what you should submit for the next
Well,
meeting.
that's exactly right. In the meantime, we'll get some of this other paperwork moving. So
Okay.
we can get this combined, and you folks can actually see there's a parcel that shows existing and proposed.
potentially it's gonna be a shared driveway up to that point.
Okay.
Could I just ask one question? If he'd like to reorient the driveway rather than the way it theoretically could be cut to avoid cutting down trees, would he be willing to grant a conservation easement on the area?
That's a possibility. I'd have to talk it over with him.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very much. Have a great evening.
Okay. We'll go back now to the first item on our agenda, an adjourned public hearing for Springbrook Meadows. Do I have a motion to reopen the public hearing? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you for coming in.
No problem. I'd like to start by apologizing. My client was going to be here tonight. He got held up at the last moment. Thankfully, I was at home, which was close enough to make it here before the end of the evening.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. Basically, what we were looking to do tonight is just adjourn the public hearing until December, probably the first meeting in December. The environmental consultant for the project is dealing with the DEC. We're sort of just going back and forth with them, and that's pretty much where we are with the project. We're not looking to move forward with any of the other aspects of the project at this time because it may change from the DEC's review.
Based on conversations, okay.
So we're still at that point where we've been.
Okay, and Michelle, have you been involved in those conversations, or are
I've
you?
talked to them a couple of times, but we're sort of waiting for something definitive to come out there.
Okay.
I have not seen that.
Okay, what do you think the impact is going to be? What do you expect, are you expecting something, or just not sure?
Well, you know, the environmental consultant is taking the lead with the DEC. One possibility is eliminating the large retention area and going to some sort of smaller individual retention areas on individual lots, something along those lines. Yeah, to lessen the impact of the overall development.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members? Understanding we don't have new information in front of us now, but we're expecting it.
Have we split the driveways?
I actually haven't submitted a plan, I believe, since the last plan showed the driveways together, but that is the intention, to split those back apart.
That's only because that's the highway superintendent's
Right.
recommendation or request.
Yep.
Were they
That
okay,
is
they
our
were okay with
intention.
the shared apron, right? Just not the shared driveway?
I don't believe so. I think he wants them completely separate.
So not even if it's in the right of way, they can't?
I'll confirm that and shoot you an email, but I'm pretty sure he
Okay.
wants completely separate.
I
Okay,
think he's tired of neighborhood wars. Between,
okay.
Who pushed the snow where?
yeah, who does what and which way they scatter grass and on and on and on.
I want to say, why can't we all just get along, but I...
Yeah, but we don't.
And certainly, whichever direction the board wishes to go is fine with
We
my
would normally take our highway department direction on that. That's, I know
I'll
we
shoot you
used
an
to
email.
want them to be
I'll
together.
confirm the
so-
apron,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
I'll shoot you an email.
I'm thinking as long as it's in the right of way, is that something that's permissible, or is it really just a difficulty the whole way? That's fine.
If we go back to the central catch basin, is it going to go back to 9 months?
That's going to be something that needs to be determined in the future. There's certain separations that we have to maintain between the infiltration systems and the stormwater systems and wells and things like that. With the 9 lots, that's of course going to be tight, so there's a pretty good chance that going to those other type of infiltration systems, we're going to have to stay with the 8 lots to sort of spread everything out again. But I can't say that for sure. Yep.
All right, so you're thinking not November 20th, but December 4th?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, before we do. I was gonna say, before we do that, and I should have asked, is there anyone from the public who wanted to speak for or against Springbrook Meadows 9-lot subdivision or 8-lot subdivision? Okay. Then do I have a motion to adjourn this public hearing to December 4th, 2012?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, and thank you for moving us to the end.
Perfect. Okay, that was the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn the public meeting?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.